And it's time for Lefties Losing It. Now, we all remember Neil Young humiliating himself by firstly boycotting Spotify in protest against Joe Rogan after trying to get the world's most popular podcaster cancelled for so-called misinformation during the COVID era. He wrote, "They can have Rogan or Young, not both." Yes, he wrote that in an open letter. The silly old delusional fool was back at Spotify with his tail between his legs. Seems money trumped his principles. Now he has launched another protest with a song lambasting Elon Musk. So let's see what he's singing here. He's singing what? Yeah, okay, that's as bad as I expected. If you're wondering what he's saying there, because it's very hard to tell, the lyrics are, "If you're a fascist, get a Tesla. It's electric. It doesn't matter." I'm going to play you the next 10 seconds. I think that's all we can stomach for one day. Get ready to cringe some more.
If you're a Democrat, taste your freedom. Get whatever you want. Taste your freedom.
Somehow that next 10 seconds was even worse than the first. And the lyrics there, and I have to tell you the lyrics because it just sounds like incoherent wailing. But what he's saying there is, if you're a Democrat, taste your freedom, get whatever you want, taste your freedom. Profound stuff. Now, let's check in on some lefty v lefty violence. I hate it when they turn on each other. Here is veteran Democrat strategist and Trump deranged loon James Carville talking to a junior Democrat strategist and Trump deranged vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, David Hogg. Grab the popcorn, folks. This is fun.
I think it is abominable that an official of a political party who is being paid or supported by that political party to go out and raise money to defeat members of the same party. I think that's a jackassery of the highest level.
James, can you tell me what
if you want to beat Republicans, of which of course lefties never do, they never even run against them. That's one thing. I'm not into beating Democrats. I'm into beating Republicans. And I'll tell you right to your face, I think it's abominable that you have anything to do with the DNC.
Oh, it gets better. James Carville is extra spicy here.
I called on Joe Biden to drop out of the race in 2022. Where were you? Where was the young cool generation coming? Did they step in there and say something? I spoke out against the horrific language of identity politics. Where was everybody else?
What is your plan to deal with our abominable approval rating?
Win elections.
Ah, so good. Now let's hear from Hollywood has-been Sean Penn and listen to this absolutely unhinged rant about Donald Trump. This is the most asinine analogy you'll hear all year.
And I do think it's a reasonable theory that Donald Trump is not unlike the spouse of someone who leaves him perhaps for another, who then murders their former partner because if they can't have her, nobody can. And I think Donald Trump in his solipsism may have that relationship with the world, and that this destruction is in part a power play and also a literal intention of his final out.
You think he'll try to stay on?
I think he might try to destroy the world before he ages out of life.
Now, do you think there was any pushback against that madness from Jim Acosta or Eric Fang Solwell? No. Instead, we got this from the man who had an affair with a Chinese Communist Party spy. The nerve of this dude. This is just more TDS lunacy.
In the history of dictators or those who aspire to be dictators, there's never a succession plan, right? There's never, and that's what worries me is if he doesn't believe there's somebody who can protect him, that you will see him ratchet up, what he's willing to do to the country.
These people are nuts and massive hypocrites because I remember Sean Penn. This is a dude who actually loves real despots, real brutal dictators, like the one who helped destroy Venezuela. Yes, neo-Marxist Sean Penn was very fond of cozying up to the Venezuelan dictator, Hugo Chavez.
I will
wish him nothing but that great strength he has shown over and over again. It is only possible to be so inspiring as he is.
Yeah, he's talking about the dictator there, seriously. Now, I'll tell you, TDS is a chronic condition. Indeed, if you believe the president, it is a fatal condition.
They suffer from a thing called TDS. Do you know what that is? Yes. TDS, it's a horrible, horrible terminal disease. It destroys the mind. It destroys the mind before the body, but the body eventually goes. TDS is Trump Derangement Syndrome.
He really is the funniest president we've ever had. Now, the usual suspects, the Democrats and their propaganda arm, the bulk of the mainstream media, had another meltdown over this amusing image of President Donald Trump as the next Pope. Obviously, a little bit of fun and frivolity thanks to the wonders of AI. But according to some, it's hugely offensive to Catholics.
Some Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics, you mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet.
Joining me now is comedian and host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, you're a Christian. Were you offended by that image? Do you know many Catholics who are outraged by that image?
Well, a lot of people don't know this. You know, my last name's Stein, but I was actually raised as a Christian. I was baptized. And you know what? As a Christian, that is not disrespectful whatsoever. It is satire. And I honestly believe that, you know, Donald Trump, he knew all about it. And I think he was trying to position himself a little bit because I don't think there are any actual prerequisites to be the Pope. So could you imagine Pope Donald Trump, Rita? The world would actually, it might actually get fixed pretty quick if that was the case.
I can't see that happening. Yeah, maybe after his presidency he can turn his hand to being the next pope. Now, there may be a few Christians who are offended by this next production, and I'm tipping that's what the creators are hoping for. This isn't just fun and frivolity, is it? You got Adam Lambert joining the cast of Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl playing Judas, and guess who is playing Jesus? It's Cynthia Erivo. That sounds like fun, Alex. Will you be making a trip to Hollywood for opening night?
No way. It's like Dylan Mulvaney's book. Nobody's going to go see this play. Nobody bought Dylan Mulvaney's book. I mean, it is going to get covered by, you know, Sky News, Fox News, the liberal media, because it is interesting. But really, I don't think that anybody actually wants to go see, you know, that horrible production. So Jesus Christ Superstar being extra gay and extra DEI, I mean, give me a break. I just do not think people are going to be clamoring up for that. And you consider, you know, over half the country likes Donald Trump. So over half the country is not going to like it regardless. So I really don't see it being a financial success.
Now, rapper and music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs was in court for jury selection today. He's facing 5 criminal counts, including sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, transportation for purposes of prostitution, and racketeering conspiracy. Alex, if he's ultimately found guilty, he may never see the outside of a jail cell again. He may die behind bars.
No, and that is a sad reality that is probably going to happen. And listen, I am not on Puff Daddy's side whatsoever. The tape of him beating his fiancée at the time is absolutely disgusting. But it is absolutely crazy to think that Puff Daddy is going to go to jail for sex trafficking, for throwing parties that people all willingly went to. You know, influential people went to these parties, you know, similar to these Epstein parties. So there's just a lot of weird stuff at play. And it's kind of sad that, you know, a guy that was once arguably the top rapper, top producer, you know, in the entire, you know, industry is now going to potentially, you know, die behind bars. It's just a very tragic story, and I don't even think Hollywood could have written it.
Well, it's a self-inflicted tragedy, but you're right. There were a lot of high-profile, very famous people who attended these parties. Are we expecting to hear any of those names in court? Are they fearful of what may be revealed throughout this trial?
I mean, I would think that they would be very nervous. You saw Jay-Z going after, Tony Bobulinski or Tony Busby. I forget the Texas attorney, but I'm just saying there's a lot of influential celebrities that could go down with the ship. And I know that they want Puff Daddy to take some sort of deal so that he doesn't have to actually go to court. So Puff Daddy knows that. He knows that he has a little negotiating power. And that's why he hasn't accepted the plea deal, because he knows that he can, he knows where the bodies are buried. He knows where the bodies are buried, metaphorically.
Well, I hope that's just a metaphor, Alex. He is alleged to have taped so much of this debauchery, so you do wonder what is out there, what the police, FBI have in custody, and if it features some of the famous people that we know attended these parties. Now, let's lighten things up a tad with this amusing story told by former Alabama football coach, the great Nick Saban, about what happened in the Oval Office.
He's got this very big, good-looking, auspicious box on his desk that has a red button on top. And one of the players said, "Is that what you launch the missiles with?" And he said, "Well, push it and find out." Player said, "No, I don't want to do that." He said, "Oh, go ahead, push it, see what happens, find out." So Rashawn Evans finally got the guts up, went over, pushed the red button. Some lady came in with a Coke on a tray.
We're getting all these amusing stories. We've got people within the football fraternity who are no longer terrified of being associated with Trump, being pictured with Trump. It's a very different dynamic than just a few years ago during his first term.
No, and Rita, I graduated from LSU, Louisiana State University, and so it tells you that I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But Alabama's our rival, and even though that I detest Alabama, hearing this story and hearing Coach Saban talking about how they thought it was so funny, and Trump basically trolled the Rashawn Evans or the player to press the button, thinking that he was going to start nuclear war. I love it. I'm so happy that he trolled Alabama. This is the president we wanted. Joe Biden doesn't have that sense of humor. Joe Biden doesn't have any funny buttons or gimmicks to play on the Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's why we love Donald Trump, because he's a man of pizzazz and style and grace.
I love that the players still pressed that button, even suspecting that it could launch some sort of a nuclear weapon somewhere. He still was curious enough to press the button. Now, finally, I know Americans think that Australia is just full of deadly creatures. You have no idea how we survive day to day. And this next story might just reinforce that idea. A South Australian family has helped rescue a great white shark that was stuck in shallow waters. These pictures are quite remarkable. 3 locals teamed up with Nash Kaur and his 11-year-old son to move this 3-metre-long shark, the deadliest shark there is, the great white, into deeper water and save it. Alex, this story is peak Australia, isn't it?
I know Aussies are just fearless, and that's why a lot of Americans, I think we like Aussies and we get along so well, because they're kind of just like people from Florida. They're insane. They're willing to save a shark. This is a typical, occurrence that happens in the state of Florida. So there's a lot of similarities. And that's why, listen, when you see on TikTok those big spiders, though, Rita, that is scary. We see that in America. We think there's all these big spiders. But everybody talks about how great Australia is, so I need to be there. I'm gonna be there. 2025.
The spiders are big.
And
wonderful. Can't wait. Alex Stein, thank you.